So there's a media sparkling outrage about LeBron James. Well, we all know about what happened of that police officer that shot that teenage girl in response of like a brawl fight from the neighborhood. But I'm not gonna get there. This video is not to defend or attack LeBron James or that police officer that shot the girl or the teenage girl, for instance. But I'm gonna tell you the media's reaction to LeBron James, especially the right wing media, and their unhealthy obsession with LeBron James and his stance on social issues. So they're going around all this crazy talks on the internet and on TV talking about like LeBron James, he hates the police. Oh, LeBron James, he's a money whore, or, anything like these comments. And I hear going around in these comments, especially he made that infamous Twitter tweet on his post that had the picture of that police officer and saying and he made that description that said you're next, hashtag accountability. And there's like a lot of sparkling outrage, and even some of the some around the police circle even challenged him, and to on that instance. And he somehow succumbed to all the sparkling outrage amongst the police and plus the right wing media, and he decided to take down the tweet. Now, would I say is he wrong or was he right to make that tweet? I will leave that to you. I will leave it to you whether or not that he was right or wrong that he tweeted that out. But the media's unhealthy obsession with LeBron James, especially the likes of One American News, Newsmax, or even Fox News, for instance, and especially that famous news anchor from Fox News that told him to shut up and dribble when he made a special with Kevin Durant in that ESPN special. I forgot what that is, saying that like about the instance of the racial justice, racial issues, and then she comes into this comments that told him to just keep playing basketball and just shut up and dribble. Those dirty comments. And their reaction, especially, I come across with this news outbreaks that said this bar owner is not gonna serve or tune into NBA until LeBron apologizes. All those things. And they're really so good in defending the police only when it's convenient for them. Now, there's this one congresswoman in a hearing just during the Derek Chauvin trial that said like, support the police when it is not convenient for you. Do not support the police when it is convenient for you. And I think that congresswoman has a point of saying these things, of why she said that. And then I come crossing that, oh, look at these protesters, they're clashing with the police. Oh, look at these protesters, they violently engage the police. Especially what happened during the protest of last year. And then I come across like how they were so quick into defending the police when the people who they did not like, were being beaten up by the police. And they said that they make all these things like, oh, it serves them right. And then where was the outrage and the condemnation when the police had no choice but to defend themselves when rioters started storming the Capitol? And then now all of a sudden you condemn these protesters that were being attacked by police just for protesting peacefully. These protesters, according to a lot of the news sources, most of them are not even violent. They're just out there to peaceful protests without even engaging in counter protesters or the police. And now media outlets from both sides, whether it's left or right or liberal conservative, have shown all these reactionaries reactions instead of the actual protest of what has led to the police violence. They say protesters had started clashing with domestic terrorists and police. But if you actually really look at what has been recorded by social media, people who've been posting it on YouTube and, all the social media platforms, it's actually like the police were the ones who engaged these nonviolent protesters. And then I come and cross these stories that Antifa and BLM clashed with white militias. But if you actually really look at the actual recording by people who had been videoing the protests as individuals, not as the media, it's actually these militias that actually who started throwing the punches against these peaceful protesters. Now, where was the condemnation? And so here it is, while across the Pacific, and I'm talking about Hong Kong, I bump in all this protests that they're being labeled as freedom fighters. They're being labeled as heroes. But if you actually look at really what's down there on the field in the streets of Hong Kong, it's actually not really what the mainstream news outlets are actually reporting. They're actually just showing the reactionary. And what really has been going on there in Hong Kong, it's the protesters who had been, violently beating down the police, and the police had no choice but to defend themselves. I even saw in Hong Kong, on the Hong Kong report, that there was one elderly innocent man, not even part of the pro-democracy protest or the pro-Beijing protest, and he got gas lighted on fire. He was burned alive. Now, do I call that peacefully protesting? I even see this, even the mainstream news outlets even recording people throwing Molotov cocktails and start shooting arrows. Now, do I call that really preparing for a peaceful protest? Do I even call it a peaceful protest when I even bumped into this one video where a protester was handing out a flower to a city official in Hong Kong, and then right after, he handed the flowers to that official, surprised him by stabbing him. He was constantly stabbed. Now, do I call that peacefully protesting? And then there's this tweet of of that NBA Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey that said stand with Hong Kong, fight for freedom. And then LeBron James was asked on his stance about Daryl Morey, and he comes across saying that yes, we do have freedom of speech. Well, we do have freedom of speech, but there are ramifications of the negative that can happen to him. And he's right, because he wasn't talking politically. He was saying it like a businessman. He says that when you're in another place, here are the policies. These are things that you cannot talk about. And when you're in other places, when you are conducting business, just be careful what you say, because it can cause damage, and you might not be able to conduct business anymore. And when he said that Daryl Morey was not informed about the situation at hand, and he's right. I think he's kind of right about this, because there are some things that the media are not showing, and they're showing all these reactions to the protest. They're not showing what's really happening on the field, like the protesters who are constantly beating the crap out of the police officers. And so after LeBron said these things, and these same media outlets from the right are like, "Oh, LeBron is in bed with the communist Chinese. Oh, look at LeBron. He's all about money." And all this rubbish things that they can talk about. And I came across a video by Dr. Boyce Watkins. He's like a financier, businessman. He also has a blog on YouTube. And I bumped into his story. I bumped into his video about LeBron James of Hong Kong, and I like his opinion. That's like he interpreted that he's saying that LeBron is saying that go fight that fight, I will fight my fight, and that's what I kind of agree with Watkins in saying that, yeah, that's what LeBron is saying about the situation. And I kind of like that, and I kind of like the fact that uh especially when that reporter was asked on James Harden about uh the situation of Hong Kong, and this is a legitimate question, and but this was in China when she asked this question, and I kind of believe so, because for me, I'm in the finance, and I'm also a businessman, and I have my opinions too. So, and I respect the fact that when I'm in another place, there are things to talk about. Okay, I will respect their policies. I will not talk about it. And when I'm outside this circle, then that's when I can discuss it. If they don't want to discuss about opposition issues, then all right, then I'll talk about it. And that's basically that is my interpretation of this situation at hand. So, and I come across these senators from the right side of the aisle, and they said like, "Oh, this is a smear of the left to attack the police." And I hear another senator from the right. He says like, "Oh, this is what happens to LeBron when he encourages us to hate the police while being in bed with communist China." And their unhealthy, rubbish comments about LeBron, and saying, and there's like one of the in the White House communications, that Blondie Kayleigh McEnany, and she said, I came across this comment, and she said, if his name was LeBron Trump, he would have more consequence. This is just like why I love the unhealthy obsession of the right-wing media on LeBron James. And here they are saying that, oh my god, because it's what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm saying that like their convenience to defend the police or attack the police when it's convenient for them. And this is the same media attacking LeBron James. It's the same media that like they were so silent when rioters stormed the Capitol and police had to defend themselves, or one police officer died because of like some missing tear gas. And like, where was all the condemnation? And where was the international condemnation when protesters started violently assaulting the police officers? I mean, come on, guys. LeBron is LeBron. Just let him fight his fight. You have your fights, okay? Like there's a reason why he tweeted it out, and I believe he has a purpose for it. So they are the same media outlets that are like they easily condemned, but I also believe that I think there really needs to be a good training amongst police officers, and plus I'm glad there is calls for police reforms, because I think there it's really true that there's a bias whenever people on this side are being attacked just for peacefully protesting, plus on the other side in which the police are doing nothing about these violent rioters. So I think that like the there's lots there even from both sides, but it's particularly the right wing media and their unhealthy obsession with LeBron James. Whenever that he talks about social issues, they like snap out of it, and then they call him a ally or being pro China because he didn't want to take a stand on Hong Kong, and then the plus they're easily to condemn the peaceful protesters that were being assaulted by the police officers. And plus, they're staying silent when the violent rioters stormed the legislative building in DC, the Capitol Hill. And then here they are, the same media. And then when there's like another like protest going on, whenever it's a situation about like, the shooting, the police officer shoot out on a unarmed civilian, and then they go, oh yeah, they served them right because they're violently protesting. And then I come across, and these same politicians that condemned LeBron James for his stance on social justice and plus a tweet are the same politicians that encouraged all the violent break-in in the Capitol, and then their ability to like their bunch of opportunist behavior to say that like these people wanted to be heard, and their voice was heard. And then when the other side is being the one being assaulted by police, it's like serves them right because they're criminals. So that is the bottom line here of what I'm trying to say here about their media's unhealthy obsession with this particular stance, and plus their unhealthy of attacking LeBron because of the things he stands for. And like so and that is my analogy there of their obsession and their toxic behavior. So I also came across a video by a blogger. He goes by the name of New Moves, spelled as NUMUVES. And he made also a video reaction about LeBron James' comment on Hong Kong. And I kind of like what I do agree with what he said there. He said like if LeBron only cared about money, he wouldn't say about these things. And I agree with that. And if LeBron didn't only cared about money, then he probably would have not helped communities of disenfranchised. He would have not helped start schools and scholarships of people of his ethnicity. He would not be taking a stance on some of the problems that goes around within the society of his people. So if he only did care about money, he would have not maybe put a voice of his own. And people that tell him, oh, just stick to basketball, oh, just stick to dribbling. It's like saying that, oh, you're a singer, don't sing about this, don't talk about this, don't make lyrics about this particular social problems, don't make songs about them. So that's kind of an analogy there.